So the Bigfoot here is a stand. Hello Kickstands, we're back in the shed for something a little bit different. There's a lot of Nerf stuff behind me. The drift bus is here. But what we're going to talk about today is bike stands. Specifically, I'm going to go through the differences between the Ursus Bigfoot and the Ursus Jumbo. Now, a lot of the stuff we fix around here is collected by cargo bike. It can be put in a car, but a lot of it's a bit too big, awkward, funny shaped, and all the rest of it to go in a car, and a cargo bike is actually better in many ways at transporting some of this stuff, especially when I pick it up locally. Now, the one thing that I've got a problem with my cargo bike is that it's just got a single kickstand on the side, and that's where these double fellas come in. This type of kickstand with two legs is much more stable. This one takes up to 100 kilos, which is the full weight of my cargo bike. This one takes up to 50 kilos. Now, the reason I've got two of these is because we've got two bikes in the family, one Pashley Poppy and one Extra Cycle Freerad, which is my big cargo bike I use to collect all the stuff. And really, the kickstand on the side of the cargo bike is actually fine. It's pretty stable. There's all sorts of stuff that you can put in there and it doesn't really fall over. So I'm not sure I need the full-on Ursus Jumbo. I might be able to get away with the Bigfoot. On the other bike, on the Pashley, it's got a child seat on it, so it might need the extra stability of the Jumbo, or the simple two-legged fixed design of the Hopper might be appropriate. Now, I keep calling this guy the Hopper, and that's because there's a steel version of the Jumbo which is called the Hopper. So, excuse me, it is not called the Hopper. This is called the Bigfoot, or if you order it on Amazon, hilariously, it comes up as the Big Food. I don't know how much food you get with this, I didn't get any. So excuse that, this is called the Bigfoot. Now this is a comparison, so let's go through the features of them one by one, starting with the Bigfoot and then moving on to the Jumbo. So the Bigfoot here is a double-legged stand. It's fixed, the legs stay as they are, they don't get any wider or narrower. Steel construction as far as I can tell, and it goes on bikes up to 28-inch wheel, which is your standard city-type bike. It claims it's for e-bike, mama bike, city bike, and trekking bike. I don't know if we're putting it on mama bike or city bike today, but we'll see how we go. Like all these stands, they fit between the chainstays. The chainstays go there, and then a bolt goes in the top to secure it. So there's not much more to note about it than that. It has little plastic feet to stop it scratching up the pavement and to give it a bit of grip when you put it down. And there's no retraction mechanism. You haven't got a little lever on your handlebars or anything like that to pull it back up with. You simply kick it with your feet. This large fella, fitting its name, is the Ursus Jumbo. It is another two-legged kickstand. However, when you deploy this kickstand, the legs spread apart. It attaches on your chainstays with a great big bolt through the top, and it's designed for a 28-inch wheel bike or smaller. I'm running 26s on my cargo bike, but with quite large tyres, so I think that'll probably be okay. Again, it's for e-bike, mama bike, and cargo bike. It's not for a trekking bike or a city bike like the Hopper. Not entirely sure what the difference is, to be honest. I kind of use my cargo bike as all of those things. Similar to the Hopper, it has metal construction. This is aluminium, not steel, and plastic feet to let it grip against the ground and to give you something to push against with your foot when you deploy it. It's got a little lip on the end here. The Jumbo is the lightweight aluminium version. I say lightweight, I've been holding it up for quite some time now, and it's not the lightest thing ever. There is another version of this which is pretty much identical called the Hopper, and the Hopper is the steel version of this. It's exactly the same, except for it's made of steel. Now, the other difference between this Jumbo and the Bigfoot that we saw over there is that it'll go up to 100 kilos, and my cargo bike will take up to 100 kilos. I've had about 50, 60 on it. Gets pretty tail wags the dog after that point, so I don't know how you'd put 100 on there. Maybe if you had a couple of other humans on it, you'd be up to that weight limit. So this is probably the one we're going to stick on the big bike. Let's get them mounted up and see what they look like. So the Bigfoot comes in some packaging which we just need to take off. Inside is the fitting kit which contains all the bolts and things. Open it up, get in there. Here's the fitting kit. Put that aside for the moment. So there we are, we've got it out. The fitting kit. Long bolt, short bolt, plate to go over the top of your chainstays, and a little washer that goes on the bolt. Let's go and attach that to the bike and see how we get on. A bit of excitement here. Nobody usually sees this side of the shed. This is where the lovely rainbow toolboard lives, along with a load of cycling gear, a cupboard, and the stand I usually clamp my camera into. But today we're going to be using that stand for its intended purpose, which is putting a bicycle on. I'm going to lift the bike in here, and then we're going to get ready to install the Ursus Bigfoot. Okay, bike's in, and we're just going to install the stand here on the chainstays, which is the manufacturer intended location. I'll probably be using the short bolt, and you can see on the Pashley that it actually has a kickstand mounting point built into the frame, so we'll be able to use that, and the installation should be relatively straightforward. Now, having this kickstand mount on the bottom here means that we obviously don't need some of the mounting kit because we're not sandwiching it between the chainstays. All we need to do is drop the big bolt in and attach the stand to the bolt. So we'll just offer up the Bigfoot, sits on the little plate there with its legs one either side of the wheel. If we had no stand mounting point, it's worth noting that the rest of the fitting kit would be required. You put your little washer in the top here, bolt through here, and then that would sandwich the chainstays of the bike between there, and that would hold it in place once the bolt is done up. We don't need to do that. We will do that with the other stand. And with that, we're back on the bench because we've encountered our first problem with the Bigfoot. The smallest bolt only goes down that far, and that is way too much clearance for the little plate, the stand mounting plate on the Pashley. So it kind of just rattles around because it's expecting to have this on top. What I'll do is I'll put this washer in upside down and use that as a little spacer just to make sure that it doesn't bottom out because it's hitting something in the bottom of here and it's not tightening up properly. I didn't use a spanner in the end. We're going for a socket. It's 17 of the Europe's finest millimeters. I'll go and take the washer and the bolt back over to the bike and get that on. One minor problem. In all my excitement of getting that bolt sorted out and making the thickness work and stopping it bottoming out, I made a little error. There's the stand, it's awesome. It's supposed to go the other way. I'm just going to undo the bolt, flip it around, start again and then try it. Problem number 2, there's not actually enough room between the chainstays, the bolt head and the socket to do it up. Now I did consider fixing this by getting a little spacer. I had a rummage in the toolbox, there isn't one. I could also have turned down a appropriately sized tube on the mini lathe and used that, but that's not really what we're going for here. This is supposed to be a straightforward 5-minute install and has so far taken 15 minutes when you look at the clock over there. So let's just use the included fitting kit and go from there. So after all that chat about this little plate and its washer not being needed, apart from as a spacer, I'm now going to be using it just to give me enough clearance to get the tools in there. So stand is in place. There's the little chainstay clamp. I didn't really want to use it, but we will. It sits on top of the chainstays there, and that means that the bolt head has plenty of clearance around it for a tool to tighten it up. So let's just finish this 5-minute job, which has so far taken nearly 20 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and test the stand. Last couple of tightens. And we're ready to go. And here we are. The stand is installed. You deploy it by putting your flip-flop on it and pulling back. And the bike sits there, and there we are. Pretty stable, not going anywhere. You can load your children on it, you can load your stuff in your enormous Pashley basket, and it will all be very good. Now, whether that stand is actually going to be the stand we're going to use on this much larger bike, I don't know. Let's go back in the garage and we'll try and install the bigger stand on this one. Before we do that, there's one more thing to mention. This stand, to stow it, you pull the bike forward, and you'll see that it doesn't quite go into its stowed position. So you have to again get the flip-flop, give it a little kick upward, and that stows it nicely until you want to use it again next time. That is a bit annoying. In fact, there does appear to be some kind of spring in here. It's just a little bit weak and needs a bit of a hand. Hopefully with time that will loosen up and stow itself. Now then, we've got to get the cargo bike onto the stand here. It's quite big and heavy, but it'll be all right. And then we'll try and attach our Jumbo, which is on the bench over there. Little does that guy know, that's not the last time that that bike is going to come crashing down today. I probably want to clamp that to the seat tube, like it's supposed to be done. Yeah. In fact, this stand is angled and has its clamper set for the seat tube of this bike. Why I didn't do that, I don't know. Get it on there and clamp it up. And there we are. Now, with this one, we're going to put the stand under here. And this is the part where the cargo bike bolts to the frame of the rest of the bike, because this cargo bike is actually an extension to a normal bike. So we're going to do our best to put the stand on here and see if we can get it on there. There is another mounting point, which is back here. It has another kickstand on it, but it's to the side, and I'm not sure that I want my Ursus Jumbo on the side of the back of my cargo bike. Problem number 1, this is a much smaller bolt than the one that comes with the stand, so we're not going to be able to do that. We're going to have to be creative and fit it somewhere else. Problem number 2, this big fella is quite long, and it's got very, very long legs, and they seem to foul all sorts of other bits of the bike, which mean I can't budge it into another mounting location. For example, I can't put it forward right behind the bottom bracket because it seems to want to foul the chain a little bit, and I can't put it at the back in the center next to the existing stand mount because it fouls the rear derailleur and some other stuff. I also can't put it on the existing side mount for the side stand because it will just foul the back wheel. So it's going to have to go in a different place. Now we may be in luck here. The Ursus Jumbo has a back plate which is removable, so we might have enough clearance in there to take something off and then bolt it on using the existing mount that attaches the cargo bike frame to the normal bike. So we can see inside here there is simply a nylock nut that accepts this bolt to hold the whole thing together. Now on the bike there is a nylock nut that holds the whole bike together. So I may well be able to just swap those nuts around and happy days. However, the top of this is not profiled particularly well for my chainstays. So I'm going to fit it on and have a little look, but I may well need, because this is the part that attaches the two halves of the bike together, I may need a better profile for the chainstays, so I might have to bust out the grinder on that. We'll have a look when we get it on. Now I am a little concerned about this because this little bolt here is only 6mm, and that holds the whole bike together and is going to have to take the weight of potentially 100 kilos on the stand, and I think that'll probably bend. The stand's very long, there's a lot of leverage. So the bolt that comes with the stand is a 10mm. That won't fit through the extra cycle, obviously. I think with a little bit of maybe avoiding a warranty or two, something like an 8 could be squeezed in if I just gently massage the extra cycle to take that through its little loop. I could probably spread it open slightly and then use the 8mm nylock nut on the other end inside the stand, and hopefully that'll be a good halfway house and let me get it mounted. I mounted it in the place where it could be bolted on as part of the cargo bike attachment. It's a little bit further forward than it should be, but it's not by any means all that different from having it here, and I'm having the same problem as the reviewer had before. When you put the stand out, the legs are long enough to act as a lever and twist this whole thing round. So deployed the stand here, and if you look from the top, you'll see that one leg is back there and one leg is a little further forward, because what it's done is as I deployed it, it's twisted with the leverage of the leg and it's turned it around. Without the dedicated stand mount, which has the plates on either side to stop it rotating, I think there's too much leverage from these big long legs to fit it. So that's a no on this application. So unless your bike has a dedicated stand mount, I'd give the Jumbo a pass. Now we can see here why the Ursus Jumbo didn't work in my application. The top of the stand is completely flat. There's nothing shape-wise like this sort of shape to let the bottom of the stand actually sit between your chainstays properly. You do need a dedicated stand mount which has the end plates to hold a stand like this in place, otherwise the leverage is just too much. It's a shame, but it's not a complete surprise, because the extra cycle that I have as my cargo bike actually has its own special type of stand. If you look down the bottom of the bike here, there are these tubes. There is a stand that goes in one there, and comes down here and rotates around this point. So I think I'm going to source one of them for this bike. It does have a dedicated stand mounting point. There's a little kickstand on it there, but of course that wouldn't work with the Jumbo, because the Jumbo would always be trying to hit the wheel with one leg. So it's been a few days. What are my conclusions? Well, so the Bigfoot has worked out rather well. I think I'll be keeping that on the Pashley. I don't feel like it's unstable. It's been taking all the weight and squirmy children that it needs to. I don't feel like I need the extra weight capacity or wider stance of the Jumbo. The Jumbo's gone back to the shop, and I'll look into getting the correct stand for my extra cycle. If you have a cargo bike and it has a place to mount a great big stand like the Jumbo without it being able to twist around, then you might have better luck than I did. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with the manufacturer's stand or build something similar myself for my cargo bike. And that's nearly it, except for a quick explanation of something I said during the video. In the meantime, you can check us out on socials. All of those details you'll find down below. So earlier I said, little does that guy know,
that's not the last time that bike is going to come crashing down today.
I was alluding to the fact that I was underneath the bike and the whole bike stand came off the wall and hit me in the head, and I had to go quickly down the road to hospital. That's a different video. You can watch that after this one if you like. And that really is the end. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.